Shalom. Before I begin, I want to give our praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Chakwadash, the law and the city of apostles and elders, great millstone. Shalom to the I can teach his word for corners in true sincerity. I'm back on the lesson. Please bring prayer, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, and be edifying unto, the elect of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua. Alright, the true name, of God is Yahweh, which means he exists. The name of his son is Yahushua, which means he saves or he delivers. Alright, we're living in the times now where Yahweh, is going to send his son Yahushua to return to deliver his elect, from the four winds. Alright, and to destroy this current, rulership. So as we are in this current rulership, prophesying the downfall, of this place. Alright. Well, I should say, as we're in this current rulership, we're meant to prophesy the downfall, of this place, America, which is Babylon, according to the scriptures, because Babylon is a very prominent figure, very important, a prominent, figure in the Bible. It's not going to say America, or it's not going to say North America. It's not going to say the United States. It's going to say, Babylon, Sodom, and Egypt are spiritually representing this place. Okay, the land of the north. All right, and it being a prominent figure, it has very important, prophecy of it being, destroyed. All right, and the people, being here, being destroyed as well. Okay. But I really wanted to focus on, us, giving a warning, to our people. Okay. Because yes, this place is going to be destroyed, but, there's a way out, from, not being a partaker, of, the destruction that is to come. Hence the warning. All right, let's get the word, for warning. It is to mean, it said as a notice beforehand of the consequences that will probably, probably follow continuous in some particular course. It says warn. It is to give notice of impending danger, to take heed. Right? It says to warn, to take heed, and our people are not doing it. They're not taking heed. What's to come, even though we're giving a warning, constantly, our people not taking heed, and that doesn't, affect us in any way, shape, or form, because it's some go get it and some won't. All right, that's just how it's set up to be. All right. It says a notice of caution, a statement or event that indicates a possible or impending danger, problem, or other unpleasant situation. All right, it says notice of advance, a word of warning, for a warning, an alert, a hint, a signal, a sign, alarm bells, right? We represent an alarm. All right, giving an alarm to our people. Okay. Should we talk about, us giving a warning to our people? All right. I'm going to start at Ezekiel 33:1. Because again, the word of the Lord Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, speak to the children of thy people, and say unto them, right? So we're commanded to, speak to our people, who are the people, the chosen people, the true children of Israel, the chosen people of, all right, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. The so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans is not, them white people that you see, that's in our land, that you see now with small hats. All right, everybody wearing suits that you see at the beach and etc. Those are not the true people. All right, they may be Jake mingled, amongst them, because we are scattered, but for the majority, all right, those are not the true people. And the ones that can be us, those are not us. Okay, he says, and say unto them, when I bring the sword upon the land, if the people of the land take a man of their code and set him for their watchmen. So we have been chosen to be watchmen for the nation of Israel. It says that in Jeremiah. I've made thee a watchman. Okay. Watchman. Where is that? I'm in Ezekiel, dude. What is one in Jeremiah as well? Not Jeremiah. Isaiah 62:6. It says, I've set watchmen upon thy walls, O Jerusalem, which shall never hold their peace day nor night. He that make mention of the Lord Yahweh keep not silent. So, it's our job to teach, so we can't keep silence. All right, the Lord put His Spirit on us to teach. All right, we gladly took up the role because it was on our spirit, so it was burning within us to do this. All right, another precept is Habakkuk. Habakkuk, 2:1 says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon a tower, and I will watch to see what He will say unto me, and what shall I answer, what I shall answer when I am reproved. So Habakkuk, a watchman, the prophets are watchmen. Okay, we keeping watch of what? All right, the times, looking at, the news that pertain to what? Prophecy. All right, because the Lord is visiting the earth in the way of, storms and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. All right. Through signs in the heavens, the moon. Okay. So when we see these different, current events, and even signs of, the mark of the beast, the signs of, America's economy, failing, the signs of things getting expensive, those are all signs. So when we see these things, we watch it and we bring it back, you bring it back to the scriptures. All right. Because like the scriptures say, we measure in the time. How do you measure the time? Okay. Looking at what's going on within the earth. Because we seek, the destruction of America, and we seek, all right, a continuing city, which is the kingdom. All right. So we have to see how close we are. Because we are very, very close. As you can see, especially, more, important too, wars and rumors of wars, the United States, Israel, Iran. Okay, the price of gas going up due to war. All these are signs. Okay. It says, and the Lord Yahweh answered me and said, write this vision and make it plain upon tables that he may run that readeth it. Right. So, we bring out this word to our people, we make it plain so they can understand, so they may able to, get the warning, so they may be able to, like I said, to take heed. All right. It says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. So again, it's for an appointed time. It's for a specific time that, these are prophecies, will take place. But it's not tarrying though. Right, it will come to pass. Okay, what happened most definitely what happened in our lifetime, we only got a couple months, we got a couple months, 6 months, 12 months, 24 months till we out of this bitch. Right, we definitely don't have, 1,000 years or 40 years. Definitely don't, that really don't even see this place being here for the next 2-3 years. All right, that's how close it is. Because America's at its lowest, and it's constantly getting, worse, year after year, day after day, month by month. That Babylon is its power, its influence on the earth. All right, because usually America will go into another a nation. They like these, they will go into Iran, take their resources and leave. But now it's a struggle to show you that, ultimately the power is in the hand of the Lord, and the Lord's not allowing them to take hold of that. Okay, and it's affecting the American people because the Lord is in the works. All right, go back to Ezekiel 33 and 3. If when he seeth the sword come upon the land, he blow the trumpet and warn the people. And whosoever hear the sound of the trumpet, to take it not warning, if the sword come and take him away, his blood shall be upon his own head. So, we see that sword coming. All right, we see the sword coming, and we warn our people. All right, but if those that don't want to take that warning, all right, then you will get caught within that sword, and his blood will be upon his own head that they don't want to take heed. Like our people, we blowing the trumpet, so that they can take heed, showing, love towards our people, telling them about what's to come. It's really the Lord showing love towards people, just using us to, so they can take heed, but they don't want to. So when these things do happen, all right, they will get judged. And that's why when at the end of the chapter, it says, then shall the prophet have been among them. He says he heard the sound of the trumpet and took not warning, his blood shall be upon him. But he that taketh the warning shall deliver his soul. So, those that took warning, who the ones that took warning? All right, prime example, was us. Because we were once in the world. We were once, serving different gods and, doing wickedness. But once we heard this truth that the Lord is coming back, and that, martial law troops and, concentration camps and the guillotine and, all these things, all right, we're going to come to pass. All right, the fear of what the Lord would do to us, took us like Noah. Okay. You got to move with fear. That might be my next lesson. Jake got to move with, fear. Okay, because when you move with fear, there's an urgency, to do what needs to be done. And Jake not doing that. All right, they not doing that. I'm going to say that precept for my next lesson. But Ezekiel 33, and where was that? 6, it says, but if the watchman see the sword coming and blow not the trumpet, and the people be not warned, if the sword come and take any person from among them, he is taken away in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at the watchman's hand. So, that's why it's very important for us to teach the truth. Okay, because if we, us, that's just being wicked. Using this example, it's an Israelite standing in the street, and you see a fucking train about to hit his ass, or a car about to hit him, or a bus. All right, we just looking at him, not saying a word, but telling him that everything is gonna be okay. That you got time. You don't gotta move out the way now. You got time, but because you didn't give him a proper warning, all right, and he gets killed, that blood is on who? All right, the one that was supposed to give the warning, that's on him now. Okay, because you had the chance to save your life, and that's a very wicked, thing to do. And that's what these different camps like IUIC and, all right, ICBK and these different, false, camps and these churches as well. All right, because seeing what's going on in the earth, because you can't avoid it. You go online, and that's how wicked they is too. All right, this shit is all in your face. All right, because Jake be on their fucking phone, right? Jake on their phone, they seeing the situation with the news in Iran and Israel, and you feeling it. You feel the gas prices going up, and you got these wicked ass niggas not wanting to serve. All right, how about Shemal Shah? You got these wicked ass niggas not teaching the truth, not warning the people. Okay? So when you do get judged, the Lord is justified. All right? Because you really going through the hell. All right, things didn't get better. All right, you trying to chase this American dream, which is a nightmare. All right, saying we got 1,000 years, we got 1,000. That's fucking off. All right, do you not want your house shot to return? All right, that's completely off. Even saying you got 40 years. All right, you should be like, man, you want to get the fuck out of here. You gotta hasten. You gotta, be urgency. All right, going back to that urgency. All right, these men, they don't fear the Lord. Because if a true watchman, if he feared the Lord, he would tell, the truth. Because the Lord sets up his men to warn our people. And if they don't warn you, that's this fear. All right, that if you don't warn them, that blood's gonna be required at the watchman's hand. All right, we don't want that to happen to us. That's why we, teach the truth. Okay, because we can't know what we know and not teach what we teach. That's off. That's very off. All right, it's like you having a medicine that can save somebody's life, All right, that's some shit Esau would do, right? Some nigga got cancer, or he got a sickness that Esau know he can, heal with the resources that he got, but he don't do it. All right, he make Jake go through ups and downs and rough ways to, get to it, but he still ended up dying. All right, that's what our people are doing, moving like fucking crackers. All right, moving like Edomites. All right, because Edomites see that you about to die, he ain't finna tell you shit. He finna let you die because he wicked as hell. Right? But continuing on, it says, "So thou, son of man, I've set thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore thou shalt hear the word at my mouth and warn them from me." So the Lord gave us a job to do. You not doing your fucking job. All right? Warn, nigga. All right, warn. Teach the truth. Prophesy. Prophet. You're supposed to be a prophet, right? Prophesy, nigga. All right? All right, these niggas got, a tab to pay. Because you got Jake that when all hell break loose, they take heed to they took heed to these prophets, even though they should have left, right? They took heed to these men, and they died, thinking that what they was listening to was the truth. Because what these men knew, they teach a lie, and then they come against us, thinking, scoffing the apostles and others. All right, we do this in sincerity and in truth. These niggas do it. These niggas. I can't even say what they do is the truth. They doing what they do, all right, for fame and for vain glory, all right, fiat currency, all right. But it says, "While I say unto the wicked, O wicked man, thou shalt surely die. If thou dost not speak to warn the wicked from his wicked way, that wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at thine hand." All right, so hey. Again, we got to warn the people. We got to warn if somebody's doing something off, like our people, the majority of them doing wickedness, we got to warn them. It says, "Nevertheless, if thou warn the wicked of his way to turn from it, if he do not turn from his way, he shall surely die, but thou hast delivered thy soul." Again, and that's what we encounter, us that's in the truth, that's doing this in sincerity. We tell our people to not do certain things. If they don't want to take heed, that's on them now, because we told them. So they don't have no cloak for their sins, so they won't say that they didn't know. Because that's what our people like to do. "Oh, I didn't know. Right? That's the number one excuse. But what excuse can you be when you were told that you was an Israelite? You should have dove deep in. You were told to stop committing adultery. You were told to stop eating shrimp and crab and pork and oysters and fucking alligators. You got Jake eating fucking bear and lizards and shit like that. Eating snakes. All right? Hey, Jake's eating exotic shit, eating fucking octopus and, eating fucking, all types of nasty just eating nasty shit, right? Okay? Because there's a dietary law. The law's not done away with. You got these Christians, that don't want to follow the laws and statutes and commandments. Like it's done away with. Like you eat what you want and there ain't no punishment for that. And they off as well. All right, people like talk about hell, but they don't even try to keep the law, such commandments to the best of their ability. All right, who the fuck is going to hell then? All right, just a bunch of hypocrites. All right, a bunch of phonies, man. Okay. With that, this other lesson was edifying. I wasn't gonna read the whole chapter. I want to give all praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Shah Ba'Shem Kakodash, and the honor to the apostles and others gave mills, Tony Shalom to the Icon, teach his word. Dr. 4 Corners, and choose to share with